I am in about 6 minutes. Hi everybody, and welcome to How to Amplify Your Outreach event. My name is Erica, and I'm presenting this information on behalf of my team members, Becky and Jonathan, who are on the line and in the car here with me. It is February 2017. We're just a couple days away from National Engineering Month, and we want to thank you for taking the time to check out this webinar. As always, we are doing this all as part of a partnership that includes the Ontario Association of Certified Engineering Technicians and Technologists, Professional Engineers Ontario, Engineers Without Borders Canada, and the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers. All fine organizations that have their own distinct mandates, but once a year we get together to inspire the general public and raise awareness of our engineering and technology professions as a team, as a family. So today we're going to be talking about your outreach events and this concept of how to amplify them. So without further ado, let's just jump into the presentation. So first of all, what does it mean? Why amplify and when to amplify? And then we're going to talk about the two types of amplification as we see them, which are amplification through traditional media outlets or channels, and then also talking about what we call new media channels, which could be anything online, specifically our NEM website, as well as social media channels. So we really feel as though going to the trouble of doing an outreach event, whether it's a storytelling event or a bridge building exercise or a hackathon or a pre-assembled workshop that teaches kids about engineers, we really think that it's worth doing well, and whatever the distinct event that is happening in your part of the province or your part of the country, we know that the goal is the same. It's to change the public perception of engineering and technology, and we want to share our stories. And you, as an organizer, you are a role model. You are an example of the type of future that some of these young people could be pursuing through engineering and technology. We want you to encourage you to speak about yourself, even though that's not always our first instinct in our jobs. When we amplify our events, as we're going to be discussing in this webinar, we provide a tangible record. It's sometimes, funny for us as event coordinators, campaign organizers. We send checks, we send merchandise, we send emails out into the void, and we're never really sure what happens unless we see photos, unless we see tweets, unless we see Facebook messages. So it's a nice tangible record of the campaign that we can then turn into a permanent record through our record of achievement, which then goes back out to our partners and our sponsors. We want to make the most of what we're doing. Obviously, it takes a lot of work and a lot of careful planning to put together your National Engineering Month events. And given that we're putting all that effort in, we might as well do a little more work to reach a whole lot more people and have a whole lot more impact. So we want to have higher attendance, reach a higher profile, and create some momentum. That's just the impact that we're talking about overall, of having people feel inspired and aware of what engineering and technology is. That's going to ripple through time and create a major impact. It might seem like you're only influencing a couple of people or a dozen people at a time, but it does really all add up to something, and that's something we think we should all be excited about and very proud of. So here's a little visual pictorial, a little visual representation. Those orange people at the top left-hand corner there, those are the people you might be reaching directly through your event or through your workshop. This is your in-person audience. If you put some time into the amplification of your event, you can reach all those green people in the rest of the pictograph. So you can just see a little bit more effort on top of what you're doing as an organizer can really impact and reach a lot more people. So we definitely think you are encouraged to do that. So another way to see all of this, sort of in a bigger historical perspective, is that at one time, getting a message out there or explaining something to someone really did rely upon literally word of mouth. Back in the 1700s, we had fellows like this one in the photo who were literally the town crier. It was their job to get out into the town square and yell the news as effectively as they could to reach people's ears one at a time. This was before we had the technology that we have today, of course, and everything was sort of word of mouth. So looking back and thinking of our NEM events in that way, are we still using that town crier, that word of mouth method? There's definitely something to be said for that in-person impact and engagement, but it is, at the end of the day, it is like disposable outreach. It's sort of like a party. You plan for it, you put up the banners, you pick out the snacks and the music, and then afterwards it's all over. When you do some amplification, on the other hand, you have something more tangible and more lasting that more people can enjoy besides the ones who just happen to be within earshot of you. When you add a reporter or another sort of a witness or a voice, they can go forward and tell, and we'll discuss what that looks like in a modern context when we get into a bit more of the detail. And also, I think it's really cool to think about how the new way of doing things, really makes everybody into a journalist. At one time, only certain people had access to the ability to tell stories and the ability to shape the public's perception. Today, anyone with a smartphone basically has the ability to reach millions or billions of people, and this is really amazing that that power has now been decentralized. Journalism as we know it has been disrupted, and we're inviting you to take some of that power and use it for this, this mission that we have collectively through our National Engineering Month campaign. Next slide, please. Oh, I'm sorry. I think I forgot to say at the bottom of the last slide there that we wanted to give a shout out to some of what we're talking about here during our National Engineering Month 2017 campaign, that although today we're going to be focusing on amplifying the story that you've chosen to tell, there are also some really great resources focusing on what story you want to tell. So making sure that the message that you're transmitting is of the highest quality. Definitely recommend that you check out the Power of Storytelling webinar, which was done by a guest speaker named Aaron, who is pretty fantastic. And the live video replay is on our NEM website, so definitely check that out. Combine that with the amplification tools we're talking about today, and that is a very powerful combination. Thanks, John. Sorry about that. So back to the idea of amplifying in general and what that looks like and what that means. There are three different phases when you can do, or three different times that you can do amplification. We've spoken so far about traditional and social media, and so you might be picturing doing some live tweeting from the event or taking some photos at the event. That's definitely an important component, but we'd also like you to remember that you can start doing the amplification and you can start spreading out the awareness of your event beforehand as well. You can connect with people, you can promote your event. This might be about getting bums in seats at your event, or it might be something a little bit different. Then during the event, we encourage you to engage with people, get them to share their impressions online if possible, and quote what they say. Often, kids especially can have the best reactions and say the most interesting things. So you can quote your participants, and then afterwards you can talk about, hey, this was so great. Look at, this is our team at our wrap-up meeting. You can continue to connect with your audience afterwards and, set yourself up to have a great impact again next year for National Engineering Month or anything else that your chapter or organization might be doing after March. So I think at this point I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan to discuss some of the specifics of this before, during, and after triad that I just went through. He's going to tell you exactly how you might do that. You can take these ideas and integrate them as much as you can into your plans, and you are going to see that positive amplification effect. So over to you, Jonathan.
Thank you, Erica. So here we have a little picture. It says, think like a customer, and that's exactly what you want to do when you're coming up with the tagline for your event. So you want to keep it short and simple, but it sort of like a one-second pitch. So here we have an example of come learn about the latest trends and how technology is changing our lives, and then you can promo your event right there. So as I mentioned, it's sort of a promotional tool that you want to give. So whether you're posting on social media or distributing some sort of flyer or attaching a message to the posters we've given you guys, you want to sort of have this tagline so people have an idea of what you're going to be going over in your event. And it's, like I said, a selling point. So, boast about your event, anything cool you might be doing, and what people might really be looking forward to. And next slide. Okay. So adding an intro to your narrative, which includes NEM, is important because we want to connect it to a higher picture. So this is National Engineering Month, and although we're focusing a lot in Ontario, our efforts, it is a national thing. We want to connect people to that national spirit, you could say, because we want people, not only are them to be inspired about the profession, but to see that others are being inspired as well. So it's important to, like in this example, across Canada, they're saying hundreds of events are engaging with youth and general public just like you, and changing the face of engineering. So this one mentions one in Sudbury. Some more tips on amplifying before your event are think about the person and who you want to speak to and your target demographics. So whether it's young people, the general population, seniors in high school that are just applying for university, you want to identify them and figure out where they hang out, where they congregate online, and basically reach them where they are all the time and get your message there as much as you can, as much as possible. And that's how you're going to get people to your event. And when you reach out to them, you want to make sure you want to make it personal, because when you talk to someone personally, it stands out a lot more. They take it to heart because they're like, hey, they thought about me when they were making their event. I will go and support them because if they're willing to invest a bit of time in me, I'll do the same. I'll return the favor. And when you make those connections, the message that you share is going to stick more. And that's what we want to do. We want to inspire the next generation to come or to help us solve the 21st century challenges we're facing. And by enticing more people to join the profession of engineering and technology professionals, we can get that diverse set of thinkers that we really need to solve these problems. So as I said, target the advertising to parents and kids as well, because the parents, especially with the younger crowds, they're going to be the ones bringing the kids to the event, so they want to know, number one, that what the messaging is. Number two, is it a good event? Is it worth my time? Is it feasible for me to go? So whether they're at schools, libraries, rec centers, grocery stores, just reach out to parents and make sure they're bringing their kids out. And the bigger picture, like I said, is when we're hosting these events, we want to bring engineering and technology to life for the younger generation and for the general public, to inspire them to, as I said, tackle these 21st century challenges. And our method is to put on great events that inform and inspire, because we want to interest people, we want to energize people, we want to challenge them, but give them a confident edge when we pose that challenge, because we know science and math and technology can be really daunting for some people because of the accelerated pace that we are creating and innovating these technologies. But we want to break some of those barriers down, because we don't want people to shy away from the challenges. We want people to accept them. So we always want to share that air of confidence with them. Some more tips are, when you're giving word of mouth, make sure to be excited in the best way possible. So whether it's through social media and you're just writing on your friend's wall, or whether you're at another event and you want to share some information on yours, you want to give them that excitement that you have, why you're hosting the event and why they should come out and support you. And if you have been hosting some of these events for some time, I'm hoping you have a mailing list by this point. And reach out to those people from last year, because if you really touched those people last year, they're going to reach out to their friends and bring more people so they can have similar experiences to what they went through. And because when you really hit someone's heart, they want to share that and they want to give it to their friends. So it's always important that if it is your first time holding an event, make sure you get some emails, so for next year you can reach out to those people and just have a repeat experience of more positive events. And as I mentioned earlier, tell parents, tell kids, tell them to tell their friends, and you can get more people in the seats. So we have, as Erica mentioned earlier, we have the traditional sense of media and the new sense of media. And with the traditional, we have the newspapers, whether they're local, national, or regional. We want to reach out to as many as possible. Obviously, keep it feasible. You don't want to stretch your budgets too much. But the more that you can get other organizations to help amplify your message, the more you can amplify that message itself and get more people and affect more lives. So by inviting reporters to your events, you're going to see an example of an article that a reporter that came to an event wrote for a NEM event, I think a couple years ago now. You can also invite local radio and TV stations. So if you're in a big like metropolis area, you probably have national or regional news stations. So they'd probably be happy to come out. CBCs all over the place. So there's lots of options to reach out to. And more importantly, you can reach out to local dignitaries because they're going to have their own set of people, and then those are events when you invite people like that. Those are things that you could hype your event on social media and have sort of like a air of excitement around them. And here's the scorecard, which you guys may or may not have seen from our previous scorecard webinar, and it's available on the nemontario.ca website. If you do want to take a look at the resources, we'll have a link later on. But it's just basically guiding you through some of the ways you're going to score on the basic media points. And your media coordinator should be taking care of this. But and you do actually get points for designating a media coordinator, so make sure you try and get that step done. Here's some of the forms. Here's the outreach resources page that I mentioned. So just click here on the slides we're going to post later if you want to get to some of those resources, or just visit nemontario.ca. And it's pretty easy to navigate. It's very, very easy. So here's a press release form and an event page. So I like this one because I'll show you an example later in the slides. Here it is. So here's a list of event listings, and here's some March things. So Humans of Global Engineering, and this list is pretty long. You'll see by the next map. In Ontario alone, we have over 100 events by the looks of it. And we have hundreds of events going across the country, so it's a lot of excitement for hashtag NEM 2017 already. And amplifying during your event is important. You want to take pictures, you want to take videos, you want to share key messages and record those moments. So whether it's live tweeting or whatever it might be, you want to have your media coordinator take care of that and have some of your team share the message. And if you can, or not if you can, we'd really appreciate it if you would share those messages with us. We're going to go over some of our social media tags later on, so you can just feel free to reach out to us at nemontario, and you'll see some of those later. Note the things that participants said, because not only can you post things on social media from that, but those are the things you're gonna. These are the the messages that you're going to see that people adopted, and the ones that they really took to heart. So you want to make sure that your messaging is aligned with the messaging you're putting out. The message received is aligned with the message you're putting out there. So as I said, find a way to share it either through traditional media or doing it yourself on new social media. As I mentioned earlier, please send us those videos and pictures, even the event write-ups, so your itineraries. Post them and share them with us, and we'll return the favor. Send us links of a coverage you found, and we'll share those as well. Any write-ups. Make sure to not only give yourself high fives, but your team high fives online, because especially when they go that extra mile, you want to show them they're appreciated. And especially thank the reporters for coming out, because they're the ones that are really going to amplify your message through those traditional means, because national broadcasters broadcast all over the country, so they reach millions of Canadians every day, and we really want to get this NEM 2017 to be the biggest one so far. So we'd really appreciate you recruiting more and being courteous when you do recruit more journalists. And here's that example I was mentioning earlier of an event from a couple years ago at the University of Windsor. This article reached millions of Canadians, so if you can sort of just copy and paste that process, then you're doing a great job. As I mentioned earlier, here's some of those Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, different handles. And here's the popularized hashtag NEM 2017 tag that we're going to be using, and that is already blowing up all over the internet. And some secrets to social media success are to post regularly. So here at NEM Ontario, we're doing it at least a few times a day. We recommend you do it at least a few times a week, though, just to stay on top of things, and to share your experiences, whether it's a life event post or things you're doing along the way, or the actual live posts. They go a long way to generating hype and generating more coverage, especially if you're holding multiple events. Then you want to be broadcasting throughout all the events, so the later events will have more hype around them. So be generous with your sharing and retweeting. Use as I mentioned, the hashtag NEM 2017 and the theme, there's a place for you in engineering and engineering technology. Hashtag a place for you. And some posting guidelines are complete your profile, leave a link on social media. We're going to get into the subject right now of concept cloud. So you want your event to be thematic. So you should have already submitted in your event application sort of the topics you're going to be going over and the themes. So those will be consistent throughout your concept cloud, as we're going to get into later. As I mentioned, you want to be consistent. So whether that's in your messaging or in your actions, you just want to make sure that they're all aligned within your team. So you don't want to be doing double the works. Ethics. You are representatives of engineering and engineering technology, so please give shout-outs to these supporting organizations, PEO, OSET, OSPI, EWB, and represent them with professionalism. They'd really appreciate that because they're giving us all the support, and we really appreciate that, so we hope you share the sentiment. And so what do I talk about? This is where the concept cloud idea comes into play. You want to unite your team under a cohesive theme, so whether that be diversity, water, safety, innovation, teamwork, globalization, the future. If you want your team to know that this is the message you guys want to get across, and all your effort should be towards getting these. And whatever your theme should be, you should have seen these 4 points in the messaging scorecard. They're the 4 main NEM messages, and it's engineering and technology solutions in the 21st century require a diverse set of thinkers. So this is why we encourage diversity in the field, because we know that we have challenges that are arising every day, and we need a diverse set of thinkers to take care of them. So we encourage diversity in the field. A lot of people forget that engineers and technologists shape the world around them, the past, present, and future. So we want to instill that message that we should all have a sense of appreciation for the technology around us and the level of sophistication that a lot of us live in here in the modern world. Engineering and technology apply creativity and imagination to turn ideas into reality. And this is an important one for me, especially because I've always been coming up with ideas myself since I was younger and writing them down. And now that I'm studying engineering, it's really exciting that I can bring a lot of them to life. So we want to share that message with the next generation, because we don't want to turn away those creative minds, because as I mentioned earlier, we have a diverse set of problems that we need to take care of. So the more divergent thinking we have, the more the higher chances we have of tackling a lot of these issues. And lastly, we want to remind people and instill in people that engineering and technology are essential to safety, health, happiness, comfort, and efficiency. So whether it's helping people get across the road or helping move goods across the country, engineering and engineering technologists make the world go round, or at least help the world go round. And we want to instill that so we can inspire people to understand the social aspects of the STEM fields. Here's an example of a concept cloud. So we have 3 different ideas: diversity, social impact, and global scope. And you just have some points on a diverse set of 21st century challenges here for diversity. Just different ideas that you want to basically fine-tune with your team and make sure that you guys are all on the same page. So whether it's future, creativity, safety, and happiness, you want to make sure that you and your team are all on board with getting these main messages across. And then at the end of your presentation, when you take those surveys and you make sure that your audience received the same message, and if they didn't, then you want to know what obstacles might have been a barrier to them receiving the message, how you wanted to put it out. So for next year or any following events you might have, you can improve that process. And I think at this point I'm going to turn it over to Becky to take care of the next part of the presentation.
Great, thanks, Jonathan.
You're very
So
welcome.
I get to talk about I get to talk about how National Engineering Month is sort of like one great big provincial party. I guess more than provincial, national, right? But we're talking a little bit more about area right now. So I was thinking about it, I guess it was last week when we were packing up all the merchandise to send out to all the amazing organizers and all the work that everyone's putting into it. It's sort of a fun way to think of it if you think of it as preparing for a party. And it's a month-long celebration, so that makes it even more fantastic. And I want you to think about your social media posts in the same sort of way. So, you know, when you walk into a party, a room full of people, you don't walk up to somebody and talk at them about you know, the specifics of engineering and get into all the details right away. You know, you got to go up first and you got to introduce yourself and you got to warm the crowd up, warm up your audience a little bit. So you want to think about your social media posts the same sort of way. You know, get to know people, let them get to know you, and then you can start introducing them into some of your ideas and get them excited about your event. Erica talked about the different times that you can post, you know, pre-event stuff, getting them excited about what's coming, and then all the stuff happening during, and then sort of wrapping up and recounting all of the amazing things that happen after your event as well. Can you go to the next slide, please? So if you're like me and you're not always that comfortable walking up to a stranger and introducing yourself and you don't know how to start the conversation, here are some ways, some ideas. You can steal these lines directly from us if you like, but ways you can kind of break the ice on social media. So I'm not going to read them all out to you here. You can read what's on the slide, but just sort of catchy ways to engage people into your tweet or your post or whatever it is you're doing on social media. So asking them the question, how will you celebrate #NEM 2017, you know? And what gets you excited? What are the challenges you're working on in your work? How are you helping people solve problems? Countdowns are always fun, just, you know, however many more days, I've lost track, it's coming up so fast, but however many more days are coming up until NEM or your specific event. Asking questions, open-ended kind of questions are a great way to get people engaged in your event. Next slide, please. Think about your audience. So do your homework. This is something that is going to help you make that closer connection with the people that are potentially going to be attending your event. So if you're looking at an audience where it's going to be a bunch of kids, then you want to gear your posts towards things that they would be interested in. Maybe there's some things happening right now in the current events, in their community, things that they can really connect to and relate to. Look into the, you know, what's going on, as I mentioned, in engineering and technology news. Your audience is using Facebook and Twitter as a news source these days. So let's take advantage of that, right? Let's give them some content that they're craving, and get them excited about what's happening with your events. Instagram is a really now, I guess it's getting to be more commonly used with the general public, but it's a great tool for amplification. The sort of photographic style that Instagram is pretty famous for, we can take full advantage of it. It's one of the best social platforms from that aspect. So it's another reason that we have been reminding you and encouraging everybody to take lots of pictures. Sharing them on Instagram is a great way to catch people's attention. You can see here, this is a screenshot of the National Engineering Month Instagram account. So it gives you a quick glance at what we're interested in and think that you, our audience, would be interested in. You can see pictures of some interesting looking people there, so you might want to click on those and find out more about what they're talking about. You can see there's a little graphic there of our mountain of boxes, so that was a sort of a pre-event thing that we were doing, getting everybody excited about receiving all the great merchandise in the mail. So take full advantage of Instagram. If you're not sure about how to use Instagram, now I know a lot more people are on it these days, so I don't want to waste your time if this is old news to you, but just a quick refresher maybe. Take advantage of the sort of standard filters that Instagram has available. I love it. It makes me feel like I'm a professional photographer by applying these really cool filters. It somehow magically turns my iPhone pictures into these beautiful beautiful scenes. So it's really easy. You can scroll through all the different filters they have and pick the ones you like the best. And then captions, so add a caption. The next sort of step in the process is to have that bit of dialogue. This is your chance to have that conversation with your audience and talk to them, warm them up, get them excited about what you are seeing. And then use the, before you finally post your post, I guess it's called, you take advantage of the built-in option that Instagram has to share across multiple social media platforms. So if you have accounts on the other social media platforms, then you can select Facebook or Twitter, whatever it is that you're using, to sort of have an all-in-one option. Next slide, please. Have fun. So with hashtags, you can, if you're maybe stuck on what to post, you can explore the hashtags, see what other people are talking about. You can see there's a hashtag, we're looking for hashtag engineering here, see what other people are looking at, and embed and include those into your own. It might even lead you to some really neat other people or organizations that you might end up connecting with. You never know what's going to come out of it. Next slide, please. Facebook. So this is a screenshot of the National Engineering Month of Ontario's Facebook page. So Facebook is a great way, another way, I guess, but to connect with the potential participants or audience members of your events. So sometimes you'll find that different demographics might use different social media platforms. So depending on what you're planning for your event, you might consider Facebook over Instagram or vice versa. Or if you're really ambitious, you can do both. But Facebook is a great option. Next slide, please. You can also use Facebook to start building that community. So if you start following some of the suggestions we'll have for you here, it's a great way to see what's going on in other places and what they're talking about, and you can kind of hop on board and connect with them. So you can follow, for Ontario, National Engineering Month Ontario is the Facebook page, and then there is the national page, which is just National Engineering Month. Go to the next slide, please. I think we have some more listed there. And then National Engineering Month is put, the overall national campaign is put out by Engineers Canada, so they are a great source and great connection to have. They have put out lots of great content. And there's some other ideas you can see down here at the bottom of the page, other pages you might like. So there's IEEE down there, a few others, ASME. As you start exploring Facebook or Instagram or the other social media platforms, you'll see you can see who these people are following and follow along with some of the ones that interest you as well. Next slide, please. So here's a little bit of a list for you. You saw some pictures in previous slide with some ideas, but again, Engineers Canada. There's the NEM founding partners putting out lots of great content, lots of good collaboration happening there with PEO, OSAT, OSPI, the local chapters as well. So if find the one that's specific to the area that you are located and follow right along so you can get some great local content. There's Engineers Without Borders Canada. They have a Facebook page and they have local chapters as well. Some other great pages you'll find with First Robotics Canada, the Actua Camps, Enspire, which are some great workshops that are connected with National Engineering Month. There's Science Expo, Women in Engineering, et cetera, et cetera. Like I said, have fun with it, see who they're connected to, and tag right along. Next slide, please. Now, a little tip here. So if you're going to the trouble of doing all this amplification, putting the work into the promotion of these events, tag your friends. So it's just you. If you're going to be generating the content, you want to try and get the most out of it. So by tagging your friends or other people you're connected to in the posts you're putting out, they're going to get a little notification, so they're going to be more likely to actually go to it, look at it, potentially reshare it onto their site, and then from there it can start sort of snowballing and gaining momentum and get lots of sharing happening with the community. Next slide, please. So Twitter is one that I think about more. It's a little bit more analogous to the party idea. Twitter is sort of like a great big conversation happening, and everybody's talking all at once. So it's a good one to get into if you're not all that familiar with social media. It's a really easy one. It's nice short posts that you put in there. And you can put in all the elements with the photos and the comments and the tagging and the hashtags. You can play around with it and really have a great time. I find it really easy to use and a little bit addictive, to be honest. So be careful not to waste too much time and get distracted when you're on it. So using Twitter is a really great tool. Some of the accounts that you might want to check out to start following are similar to what we talked about with Facebook. So there's @NEM Ontario, OSAT, there's PEO and all their local chapters, the EWB, there's an EOT Twitter profile, and then some specific people you might be interested in that are generating some really neat content. Kim Allen, Annette Bergeron, Commander Hadfield, and et cetera, et cetera. Like we said, check these people out and then sort of nose around what they've got, see who they're following, and you're going to find all kinds of interesting people, organizations, and information. Next slide, please. A little tip here with Twitter is the retweeting. So you can easily sort of put information or put feeds into your own profile by retweeting what other people are already talking about. So once you start building your list of people you're connected to, then you can use the content that they're generating and you can just retweet it. So you click on that little double arrow symbol and you get the option to retweet what they've posted, and you can just sort of straight retweet it quickly, or you have the option to quote the tweet, and what that does is it gives you the option to put a little comment onto the tweet before you post it. I think that's a great option because, again, you can take that as an opportunity to tag someone or tag a few people so that they get that notification, and then maybe they'll continue to share it or retweet it or keep spreading the word around. A reminder here again about sort of the timings of things that of when to do the amplification. So before your event, you want to use some hashtags to start building that excitement about what's coming. So already, if you look on Twitter, you'll find that hashtag NEM 2017 has all kinds of great posts happening. You can use the hashtag engineering, outreach, eng culture. Just a little word of caution, don't go too crazy with your hashtags. We want the posts to be actually legible and readable. If your entire post is all hashtags, it might be a little tricky to understand what you're actually saying. So use them sparingly, and they should work well for you. And then during your event, take advantage of what we believe Jonathan mentioned. We highly recommend that if you have the volunteer capacity, that you designate a media coordinator, and that person can be sort of live tweeting the things that are happening at your event. So sort of bringing the in-person experience to the online world. They can be, sending out sort of a running commentary of tweets about what's going on. Great time to share pictures of the event. I mean, including pictures sort of takes the pressure off of having to come up with a fantastic little quote or clip to put in your post, and then you can use it as sort of the starting point of what you want to say. And like I was saying, it just brings your in-person event to the online world. And then think about maybe some creative ways to use pictures. So I mean, we would typically take pictures of the activities and all the excitement and the people that are going on and around in the room. But here's a really neat idea. Snap some pictures of some of the feedback you're getting. So we know at your events that you're going to be handing out the participant surveys, and as Erica was suggesting, use quotes from some of the kids that you might hear. That's a great idea. But here's another way you can capture their great content is snap a little picture of their participant survey. One of the questions from the survey here, you can see this one. The participant said, "I thought engineering wasn't fun, but now I know it's fun." So, people just sort of eat that stuff up. It's a sort of instant reward on the success of the event. If you're stuck on ideas for hashtags, not to worry, we've got you covered here. So here is a list of great hashtags you can use. I'm not going to read them all out for you here. You can, I'm sure you can go through and read them as I'm talking. And as well, the replay of the webinar will be available online. If you want, you can refer back to it and have a look. For those of you who aren't all that familiar with using hashtags, don't worry about it. It's really just a number sign in front of some words squished together. So have fun with it. They're not case sensitive, so you don't have to worry about that. When I do it, I tend to use the capitalization more to sort of distinguish words if the words are all squished together and it's hard to understand what you're trying to get across. But they're just something to kind of have fun with, a way to sort of I think of them as a way to sort of organize my posts to some degree. So if I want to have, with the hashtag NEM 2017, it's a way for us to connect all the different events that are happening so that the organizers or participants or someone interested in what's going on with National Engineering Month can do a quick search on NEM 2017 and find all that information really easily. Next slide, please. Now, I just threw a whole lot of information out there about all the different options you have with posting on social media. So I want to take a few minutes to sort of take a deep breath, take a step back, don't feel overwhelmed. Focus on the tools that you have, the things that you know. If you do them well, it's about quality over quantity here. There's no need to be on every platform. Once you get comfortable and confident with one tool, maybe you'll consider adding in another platform. That's fine, but don't let it sort of the fear of the unknown and and all the work behind it. Don't let it stop you from getting started. So we would really encourage you to just use what you're used to for now and continue to build on it. And then brainstorm with your volunteers, your team. There's some amazing volunteers that come out every year to all the National Engineering Month to help out with all the National Engineering Month events. And you never know, you could have someone on your team that's sort of some social media online expert. So ask your team, find out who's, maybe someone's really interested in that aspect of the event. So perfect fit, assign them, designate them as the media coordinator, and you're good to go. So that's it for our really the content of our webinar today. We want to see you online for sure in March, if not sooner. We love to see all the excitement that's generated, and as Eric was saying in the beginning, it's as sort of the behind-the-scenes organizers, we love to get that feedback of what's actually happening sort of out there at the live events. We can't be at all of them in all places, so this is one of the ways that that we can see the results of all of the work that's been put into the campaign up till now, and all the things she was mentioning about having a permanent record and using it to build on your events for next year. So hopefully some of these tips have resonated with you, and it will help set you up for success. Thank you.